you probably notice when you do a search for something, you do get that little map coming up. And basically, there's a company called Moz who do an annual research into what the key categories are for ranking in that group. So as you can see, Rod comes up. If you type in funeral director Wells, Rod, you come up #1 on that map pack. And on the left, I've sort of listed how, you know, how Google is actually choosing of all the people it could choose. This is the criteria that it's looking for. So the first thing it looks at is your Google My Business information. So that's a free listing. So if you haven't already, it used to be called Google Places, so you might already have it as Google Places. But if you haven't got one and you are a local business, the first thing to do is go to Google My Business, and it's business.google.com, and you register your business and you put in all the information about where you're based, your opening hours, a little bit of a blurb about you. And Google uses the proximity of you to the searcher as one of the key things for that map pack. And then obviously it goes through, there's other elements which I'll talk about later that it looks at. Following that, so, and that's 25% of its weighting for what it's how it's gonna choose who to put in those top 3. After that, it goes to what they call inbound links. So this is other sites that link to you. And I always liken this to if you were looking for a plumber and you went into the pub and you said to someone, "Oh, does anyone know a plumber?" If a friend who you knew said, "Oh yeah, I used this chap, he was really good, and this chap, he was really good," and gave you their details, you'd go along and have a look. If someone you didn't know went, "Oh, you could use so and so, but I don't know much about him," you won't. And what Google is trying to do is replicate that knowledge but online. So every inbound link, so everyone who links to your site is saying, yeah, these people are quite good. You know, I'm voting, as they call it, voting for this company. There are things you have to be mindful of. They have to be natural inbound links. They have to also actually work as if someone was on that site and wanted to come to you. So it has to be what they call natural and organic. There was a big thing many years ago where people were buying inbound links to get this ranking higher up in Google. Google kind of copped onto that, as they call it in Ireland, and actually changed its algorithm to kind of penalize people who had bought links. So they do have to be genuine inbound links to your site. So we'll talk again a bit more about that later. The other thing which Rod does really well is the reviews. So again, you can see 15% of how Google is selecting who to choose is based on the reviews, and it's based on obviously the ratings, the amount of you get, the frequency they come in, and it's also looking at whether you've got them across Google, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or whatever's appropriate to your business. I always feel that, I haven't got evidence for this, but I feel Google probably references Google higher out of those 3. So I've got someone who has a lot of Facebook referrals and really good ratings on Facebook, but only a couple on Google, and she doesn't rank as high. So I do think if you can get Google reviews, I think Google likes Google. And then a couple of other things that it lists. So content on your page, again, I'll go into this in a bit more detail, but the actual keywords that you're using. So what the person has searched and how you match that search criteria. And then another little thing that I think is a really little tip is if on your website has obviously your address and your area code. So that tells Google that you're actually local. And the address, it likes to have an address because people can then get directions to you. So apparently, for a lot of people, they want to come to a business. If you've got a physical location, you'll then want the address. So if your address and telephone number is on every page, there's a way they can reach you. So Google kind of marks that as a good thing to note. The other elements, so citations, this is, again, NAP stands for name, address, and phone number. So Google is checking that your name, address, and phone number, wherever you appear, is consistent. So again, it just gives it another check that you are a genuine company. And it'll be things like directory. So if, obviously BT phone book online and various things like that will list you. There's one there's a directory for Somerset, which I'll send the link for. And again, if you link on that, it's just recognizing that you are the business. This is all, the more the information is correct, the more it's confirming you're a genuine, trustworthy company. And then the last few things, obviously engagement. So if lots of people click on you from the map pack and go through to your site, it starts to recognize the behavior. People who call, people who check in. So obviously, again, it's all just proving that you are a company that's trustworthy, that's around, that people are engaging with. It just, again, makes a bit like the person in the pub. It makes you go, okay, yeah, this is a recommendation. And then the last things I think quite interesting, device history. Obviously, if you've been there before, it will come up. And social only gets 3%, which I think has more of an impact on the national searches rather than the local searches. Local is really trying to help local. So, but again, that will be engagement, people coming across. So when you do your Google My Business, you can put posts to Google My Business as well as the very similar to the Facebook. And again, it's how people engage with that, click on it. And those, I'll go into again later, but when you post to Google My Business, those posts come up in the search results for the next 7 days. So it encourages you to keep posting.
So just to put it back into a context for Rod, and Rod, I know you're doing some of these things. Search is like a lot of things. You can spend a lot of time getting really, really deep into it, but often it's do the things that will give you the most for the least amount of effort. So for Rod, it would be obviously having a Google My Business profile, which you've got. You know, second thing would be inbound links. So Rod, if you have a, you know, I know you've got a relationship with a flower, you know, a company that does flowers, with a company that does any other things associated with your business. If you say to them, well, and if you have links to them and they have links to you on a site, that's going to help you. So that can go to any business, for anyone else that you work with. Reviews, obviously, Rod, I know you spend a lot of time getting reviews. That's a good thing. And then the content is something that you have that control over. So doing those things which will give you that sort of 80% of what will make you good, that will really help.
Yeah, and again, as you say, focusing on those 4, because if you look at outside of the map pack, when you get to the actual listings, if you're typing in a local search again, so funeral director in Wales, and again, Rod, you come up first there. The elements are very similar: inbound links, content on your page, engagement, Google My Business. So this, the top 4 elements for both appearing in the map pack and appearing in these natural search elements which appear underneath the map are the same kind of elements. They're just weighted in a different way. So those are clearly the top 4 to be focusing on. Is that have I just bored everyone to death? Are they all falling asleep?
No.
Sorry, it's very technical. I just thought I'd just check in with everybody.
I'm busy writing questions I wanted to ask at the end. But
okay,
if you go back to those slides, if you add the percentages up, if you just tackle those 4 things, you've got way in excess of 50%, haven't you? You've got 50,
yeah.
54, 60, 70 odd percent. If you're addressing those.
Yeah, and the same if you look at the other way. Yeah, so those are the top 4 to sort of focus on.
So what you're saying also is that if Rod's got video, for instance, or Joe's got a blog, could she, where she's putting them on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'm putting videos on those channels and YouTube, are you saying that I could upload a video onto my Google, if I had I think I've got a Google My Business.
Yeah.
So that'd be that'd be quite important, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, so all of those. I mean, Google My Business only allows a 30 seconds and it has got a small file, so 30 seconds. So you'd have to pull out the 30 seconds. Or I sometimes do a thumbnail picture of it with a link to the YouTube video. So when you do a post on Google My Business, it allows you to put a picture, some words, and a button. So you can put an image up and then put a button across to your site or to your YouTube or wherever, and it gives you an option on that button to be learn more, buy now. There's various different options, so you can click on those. But also, if you do have video and images on your site, Google will also pick those up. And again, you probably noticed in your search when you're looking and searching for anything yourself, you see you say the local map, you see results, and then you'll see the videos and images come up in a line. There's no, it's never a set where it's going to appear, but sometimes it'll be at the top, sometimes it's sort of midway down through the search results. So what Google does is if you type in something, which we all do, it's usually what they call a fathead term. So you might type in, like, I don't know, pizza. Google doesn't know what you want from pizza, so it's going to try and give you lots of different options. So it'll give you the nearest pizza place to you, it'll give you how to make pizza, it'll give you pictures of pizza, because it can't tell what the search intent is behind that one word. So it throws up lots of different things. So as you move, and again, we said, 90% of people won't go beyond page 1. If they don't find what they want, what they tend to do is refine that search. So that person might type in pizza delivery near me, and then it goes, okay, I know what you want now, and it returns much more clear results. So again, when you are thinking, and I'll click on and talk about it, when you are thinking about your keywords, you need to think about what you want to rank for, because it might be that you say, there's no point perhaps saying, oh, I want to rank on pizza as a pizza delivery person, and I want to rank on the word pizza, if actually the search intent is someone who's looking to make it themselves, or just have a picture of it for their website or whatever. So the actual search intent, pizza delivery near me, might be a better term to go for, because actually that's a clear intent. They are looking for you, and although the search volume might be 200, not 20 million, actually it's 200 of very clear intent, targeted people coming to you.
Yeah.
So I'll just skipped on. So having looked at all that, what do I do? So have you claimed your Google My Business listing? So you might find that your business is there. Google does find them, but it's not been claimed. Once you have claimed, so when you go in and you set it up or you claim it, it will ask you what categories you fit into. And we've got a client who's a pub and a restaurant and a B&B, and it's important when you select them is which category you want to appear for first, because it will weight that to 50%. So if you've got three elements that you think you fit, it will put 50% weighting to the first one and 25 to the other two. So it's really important that your primary category is the one that you think you want to rank for. So for me, I've got marketing consultants and web design. I put marketing consultants first because that's what we do first and foremost. Again, asking customers to leave reviews. We all really hate it, but if they can review on Google, again, Google likes Google, that's great. If you're going back to the inbound links, if you're doing sort of, you might work with the community, you might have, I don't know, do support groups, or I run the local riding club website, so I've got a link back from the riding club website. It shows that I'm, in the community, I'm local. If you've got any kind of groups that you're involved with, or you sponsor, or for some reason they want to link back to you, can get, the good little local links like that as well as, associated businesses. If you sponsor the local football team, they can go link back to you. Google ranks local links in a different way to national links. So it actually is just recognizing that it's local, and it doesn't need to have what it calls the domain authority that you would need to have if you were trying to rank nationally. So any kind of local sites that will link back to you would be great. And again, I mentioned recently the local directories. So things like the Somerset Live directory, I'll put the link up. They just prove that you're local. And again, it just helps to register you are a business, and people will go, and you do see, I certainly do when I do searches, Somerset directory does come up usually about 4th item on page 1. So it is actually a source people are using. And so if you go to those actual sources where people are looking for a directory, they have high domain authority, and they're good for giving you a backlink to your site. But don't overdo them again. And again, with everything with Google, it's if you overdo it, so if you go, there are lots of local directories. If you go to all of them and put them down, Google will then go, no, you're just trying to get free links, so I'll disregard those as well. So it's a fine balance of making sure that you've got, I guess what it's trying to do is make it look as genuine as possible, as natural as possible. It's trying to create those natural votes for a company that actually prove that you are worth recommending. And that's kind of, I have